Hello and welcome to my channel, Spiritually Gina, where I encourage you to live from your soul. My name is Gina. Welcome back to the Nothlit Diaries, number 8. Today we will be talking about working with deities, is everyone psychic, and spiritual hygiene. So right now I am sitting in a middle of a rainstorm. It's not coming down super hard, but I feel that every rainstorm I sit in is an opportunity for a lovely aura cleanse. So I am also extending that energy to you. And yeah, I'm currently in my car. So first, I really wanted to talk about something that I saw on Threads, and I will post an image for you to follow along as I'm reading. But this is actually a topic that has come up for me, the idea of working with deities, just on a personal level. Nothing that I've ever shared about on any platform or anything, but I thought this creator had a very interesting take. So, first, her name is I Am Mara Janine, I believe it's called. Her name is. And so she said that if I see a healer talk about any Egyptian gods or any other gods, instant swipe. I wanted to look into a coach, and the first thing I saw was like a retreat there to get the special energies and so on. I've been down that road before, and let me tell you, that's how I woke up to how lizards, presumably like the lizard people, have taken over the world, and how most of the healers are either unconsciously or consciously hijacked by dark forces. And IKYK, which means I think she meant to say if you know, you know. There. So wow, what juicy thing to say, what a lot to unpack there. So I guess from my perspective personally, I do not work with any deities intimately. Um And I have worked with healers that work with deities, work with angels. Um, and so I can understand to a certain degree, what this creator is saying here about, like about working with Egyptian gods and other gods and how you could be unconsciously being hijacked by dark forces. But for me personally, this is kind of more so of a constricted, fear based take because it disallows for the reality that there can be remnants of gods throughout society. Um, and so, again, me personally, I don't work with any deities because, from my perspective, each deity, each god is an interpretation of a cosmic archetype made into form. So, like, Oshun or Zeus or Amaterasu, which is the Japanese Shinto sun goddess, um, or even like I wouldn't. This is more, I guess, of a saint, but like Mary Magdalene, Jesus, the Archangel Michael and Gabriel and whatnot. Like for me, these are all cosmic archetypes made into form by a specific region or a specific culture. So when it comes down to it, deities are a cultural interpretation of a collective archetype. And so I just personally don't really resonate with any um, cultural archetypes, and so I don't really work with any deities. And if I were to like really align with any cultural identity, like from a spiritual perspective, from like what they're teaching, the archetypes, it would actually be the Indian mysteries, so like Tantra, Hinduism, the Indian mysteries. And even then, I don't feel any gravitational pull towards any particular deity. Now, I have had dreams about Kali Ma, and I woke up and I'm like, wow, that was a really, intense experience. And I consider my dreams to be sacred, not so much the dream itself, but the energy behind what the dream is trying to tell me. And for me, that was about, inner anger transmutation, and how, like, in my lineage, there is so much bottled up, pent up anger. And in my life, personally, I have a lot of bottled up, pent up anger, and so, like I said, I don't resonate with any culture specifically. Um, but it's for me, it's more so about the frequency or the archetype behind what the deity represents that I more so resonate with. And so, actually, growing up, I was really into Greek mythology, so I really loved, I think out of all of the Greek gods and goddesses, I really resonated with Poseidon. And funnily enough, I'm actually just making this connection. I really resonate with the water mysteries. I resonate with the sea, the ocean. I'm actually a double water sign, and I have a water stellium in my chart. My moon is in a water sign. I have Saturn in the fourth house, which is a water house. I have Pluto in my 12th house, which is a water house. I have my North Node in the water house, which is the 8th house. I have a lot of water energy in my chart, and somehow I resonate with Poseidon growing up, also known as Neptune, and I have Neptune in my first house. And then I love mermaids, like, but I was into mermaids, I will say, but it's just, it's, again, it's about the collective. It's about the cultural energies behind whatever deity that you're working with, more so than the deity itself. So overall, with this creator, I actually don't agree with what she's saying. I mean, I feel that it's a very um it's a very specific way of saying something, and it leaves no wiggle room. No, it's basically like a lot of creators, a lot of people only believe in the darkness, only believe in, like, the evilness, only believe in the more constricted version of reality. And I just don't subscribe to this. To be quite frank, I find this to be very fear based, and just very inaccurate. But I respect her interpretation, and I personally don't work with any Egyptian gods or goddesses, any gods in general. But like I said, if I were to, it would be more so aligned with the Indian mysteries. Um, and yeah, so that was actually interesting, because I've always wanted to do a segment where I talk about things that I've seen on thread and kind of give my opinion on it. So maybe I will continue to do that. Who knows? But yeah, so that was kind of my interpretation, sitting in the rain, no less. So again, going back to me aligning with Poseidon and literally sitting in the rain in the water, I really resonate with the water element. Um, and yeah, so moving on, the next thing I not the next controversial thing we're talking about is the idea that everybody can be a psychic. And God, short answer, no. I don't think that everyone is psychic. I don't think that everyone is born with a proclivity towards being sensitive. It's like the reality that not everyone is good at math, not everyone is good at science, not everyone likes history, not everyone is good at reading. Like, literally, some people cannot read and they are adults. And I've personally seen this, like, not being able to read a passage. It's a little bit scary, honestly, but that's some people's reality. And so actually it's 5:15. And it's funny, like, side note. So how everyone sees angel numbers? For me, I see tarot numbers. So in the tarot, um like, there are associations, and this is a segue, so I won't put a timestamp, but you can skip through this part if you don't care about it. But there are connections between like the first 9 cards and the second set. And so 515 in my head is the Hierophant and the Devil. Just and I've been seeing a lot of them lately. I've been seeing 313, which is the Empress and Death. And yeah, I don't know, just it was funny to me. But anyways, getting back to what I was saying, I don't think everyone can be psychic. I don't think that everyone is born with a proclivity towards being sensitive. Now, what I do believe that anyone who is open to this reality, is open to the more spiritual side of things. I do believe that you can develop those abilities, and it reminds me of the movie Ratatouille, where Gustav's saying is that anyone can cook. So he's not saying that everyone is a cook, but anyone can cook, meaning anyone who wants to apply themselves can become a cook. And that's kind of more so what I believe. I believe that if you want to apply yourself to be more psychic, more energy sensitive, then yes, you can, become more psychic. But I believe that there are certain individuals that have taken this path throughout lifetimes. And so, no, I don't believe that everyone is psychic. Taking a sip of water here. Literally, I don't talk to many people. And so whenever I do talk, I get like really like dry throat. It's so funny. But yeah, that was my little question. Do I think everyone is psychic? No. Do I think anyone can become a psychic? Yes, if you apply yourself. And it still won't be like someone that has a natural proclivity towards it. And so yeah. So lastly, we will talk about spiritual hygiene. Um, and so for spiritual hygiene to me is about knowing your frequency, energy baseline, and having a process to return to that state while also expanding that baseline. So it's really about just keeping your energetic field clean. And to do that, you have to know what it feels like to not have your energy field clean. And a lot of our upbringings, we were around individuals and in environments that disallowed for us to have a good spiritual hygiene. And so this is kind of a spiritual hygiene practice is basically literally like returning back to self, returning to your inner home, and not only returning to it, but planting a garden, cleaning it up, um, allowing for sunlight to come, allowing for rain to come, and just making it an inner heaven, literally. And so, the biggest piece around developing a spiritual hygiene practice is understanding your sensitivity levels, and again, going back to your upbringing, and noticing where there was a disparity and beginning to fill in that gap. So, not necessarily dwelling so much on what happened, but creating that space for a new, um, creating that space for a new way of being to take root. And yes, for many of us, that does include um, doing some inner shifting, inner dissolving, inner expansion work. Yes, because there could be some habits that were picked up on that are not aligned with your true frequency energy baseline. Um, and a lot of our upbringings and environments did not help us. They harmed us. And so the next thing that we can do on our spiritual hygiene journeys is knowing your cleansing element, and this will help you begin to ground. So, grounding used to be this huge thing and something that I would like not talk about a lot, but you would see kind of like all over social media, the spiritual space. They're like, these tips to ground, blah, blah, blah. And I would get some people in my space that would have questions about grounding and not really know how to ground, and feeling disconnected from grounding. So first thing we should know when grounding is that we can often do that through our feet and hands. And so our feet are associated with Piscean energy. And our hands, I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. I have a notebook with these things in it, so let me see if I have it in here. Give me a second. Oh, it's also Pisces. Wow. So yeah, so Pisces is associated with the hands and feet. So if you're looking for more specific advice, you can look at your astrology chart and see what house and sign you have Pisces in, to give you more so of more insight onto how to best ground for you. For example, my moon is in Pisces, so in the third house, so I could ground through writing. I can ground through thoughtful conversations, talking like I'm doing now. I feel relatively grounded, relatively open and expanded. And it being in Pisces means that water can be super grounding for me. And we already talked about how water is my dominant element, and that's kind of what I get into here. But it lines up with water. Um, and it being, oh, I was gonna say something, I forgot. I guess the Piscean energy being connected with the moon could mean grounding through mother energy, some mothering energy. And it's funny because actually my mother represents the opposite of grounding. So it's not really applicable, but then there's also Gaia and Mother Earth and grounding through that. And this is separate, but I'm going to say it anyways and probably go back to it in another podcast. Mother Earth is also wild, untamed, ferocious, chaotic. It's not just this sweet, nurturing, loving energy. So yeah, just seeing Gaia as more than being this, uh, seeing her than being just more of this like tamed energy, I would say. But getting back to grounding, knowing your cleansing element, this will help you ground. I'm reading from my notes, by the way. So knowing your cleansing elements, so that could be fire, that could be air, that could be water. Water's mine. That could be earth, and that could even be ether. And knowing that these elements all interact with each other. Like water contains oxygen, the air contains water, fire is fed by oxygen, earth contains. I guess earth does contain water because water is needed to grow. Blah blah blah, and ether is the mystery. So it's an all. And lastly, with your spiritual hygiene journey, finding your ritual, finding your cleansing ritual will be so beneficial. This can include your clair, your dominant clair. My dominant clair is clair sentient, clear feeling, clear emotions, um, knowing your dominant clair. And when interacting with others, understand your level of sensitivity. So, like for me personally, I mean, I'm just going to be really honest here. I can't talk to everyone and afterward be okay. Like, some people are really dysregulating for me, and it's something that I'm actively working on, like just trying to like always remain centered and balanced in myself and not be so like open and empathic. But I mean, the reality is some people literally when I'm done talking to them, I just feel dysregulated. And the reality is when you're a sensitive being, you have to be cautious about who you talk to, and you have to be cautious about your environment. And those things are not always in our immediate control. So you have to create situations where you are in control. Um, and yeah, and implement boundaries with difficult people. Easier said than done sometimes. A difficult person could be your boss, your mom, my mother. your family members. So it just depends, you know. Um, and yeah, so that was spiritual hygiene. Core things to take away: knowing your sensitivity levels, knowing your cleansing element, and finding your ritual. And yeah. Oh, there's some more rain, guys. Awesome. I don't know if you guys are hearing it well. But yeah, so this has been the Nothlit Diaries number 8. Kind of short and sweet and to the point, but you know, I'm starting this podcast again because I'm always looking for really good spiritual information, and I feel that I just don't find it online. Like, it's not really there. And so I'm like, I'll go ahead and make a podcast myself. All right. So that is all. Thank you so much for listening. If you have, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, bless.